Birkin bag at Hermes boutique will cost you 38,000 USD. But what is the real cost out of the factory? Today, I'm going to break it down in front of you, step by step.
No, that's not quality issue. It's luxury brand washing.
For decades, luxury brands like Louis Vuitton sold us a dream of elegance, exclusivity, European craftsmanship, but that illusion is falling apart fast. A whistleblower storm is brewing, and according to journalist Megyn Kelly, the factories that luxury brands tried to hide are finally stepping into the spotlight. Emails, payment logs, and secret contracts are all coming out. And it's not only Louis Vuitton. What's being exposed could shake Chanel, Prada, Balmain, and every so-called heritage brand to the core. For years, Louis Vuitton's brand was untouchable, covered in prestige, guarded by heritage, and sold as the pinnacle of European craftsmanship. The labels said, "Made in France," and everyone believed it. But according to Megyn Kelly, the real birthplace of many Louis Vuitton products wasn't France at all. It was China. Behind closed doors, Chinese manufacturers were allegedly doing it all, sourcing the raw materials, stitching every seam, sealing every edge, and packaging the products from start to finish. The only thing missing was that golden "Made in France" label, which, according to insiders, was slapped on later to maintain the brand's illusion of exclusivity.
Most of them are made in China, and most of them are made in our factory. Yeah, I'm telling you. But why these luxury brands never tell you that? Because they are trying to pretend to be products of some sophisticated European countries like Italy or...
And this wasn't a rare exception or a one-time partnership. These factories had been operating in silence for years, producing the very bags that celebrities flaunted and customers paid thousands for. And yet, the people behind the work remained invisible, uncredited, underpaid, and entirely hidden. But Megyn Kelly claims that these manufacturers weren't just working, they were keeping records. Emails from procurement teams, shipping manifests, internal documents, all proof that Louis Vuitton knew exactly the scheme they were running. They were selling the fantasies that luxury equals authenticity, that your bag was stitched in a quiet, French shop by careful artisan hands, not sewn in bulk in a Guangdong factory next to the same zippers found in bootleg handbags. Megyn Kelly says these Chinese manufacturers had been quietly collecting receipts for years, private texts, confidential memos, and even back-channel communications with top brand execs. They knew their value, and more importantly, they knew how little credit they'd ever received. So they built what insiders are calling a digital war chest. Evidence of every deal, every shipment, every shady label swap. The exposure was a calculated media ambush. According to Kelly, the factories timed their expose to hit just days before Louis Vuitton's biggest fashion week reveal. Red carpet appearances, runway debuts, influencer campaigns, all perfectly lined up to explode. And then the story hit. These manufacturers weren't fighting over money. They were fighting for dignity. They were done being used, blamed, and discarded. And when Louis Vuitton allegedly pointed fingers at the factories for poor quality, cheap stitching, and off-tone canvas, despite being the ones demanding mass production at record speed, it was the final insult. The leak didn't just hit the supply chain, it hit the core of Louis Vuitton's identity. That polished luxury image suddenly looked like smoke and mirrors, because if the artisans weren't real, if the craftsmanship was outsourced, then what was left? Louis Vuitton didn't just sell bags, they sold status, dreams, and the illusion of legacy. Every gold-stamped monogram, every ivory-colored box whispered one thing: this is special. But when Megyn Kelly pulled back the curtain, that entire fantasy collapsed. The truth is, the so-called luxury experience was built on deception. While customers were paying thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, for a single piece, insiders say the actual cost to produce it was a fraction of that. Some markups soared past 1,000%.
First thing first, Hermes only use the leathers from the 3 top-level suppliers. One is called Vuitton from Italy. The second is Vuitton from Germany, and the third is Haas from France. One piece of Togo leather, the same leather as this one, will cost 450 USD. And one piece of the leather is only enough to make one Birkin, okay? The thread. And of course, for Hermes Birkin, the thread is also the best top level. It's called Fil al Chinois from France. This is actually the Rolls Royce in thread. For each bag, the cost is 25 USD. And then the hardware. See, this hardware is called 316 hardware. It's also known as the ocean stainless steel because it can withstand the erosion of seawater. It's the best stainless steel. For one piece of bag, the hardware will cost 150 USD. The edge oil. This edge oil is imported from Italy. It's called heat seal edge oil. For each bag, it will cost 50 USD. The interior lining, it used lambskin imported from France. For each bag, the cost will be 100 USD. And also inside, there is a zipper from Riri brand. And the zipper for one bag is 10 US.
One Birkin-style bag, broken down by materials, included $450 worth of leather, $150 for hardware, $100 for interior lining, and pennies on edge paint and thread. Yet consumers were charged over $38,000. They were sold a story about heritage, about artisans in quiet, sunlit workshops in France, about generational craftsmanship. But according to Kelly, none of that applied to many of Louis Vuitton's top-selling items. They weren't assembled in heritage ateliers. They were assembled in secrecy, in high-capacity Chinese factories built for efficiency, not tradition. When customers began to complain, loose stitching, uneven prints, stiff leather, Louis Vuitton didn't take the blame. Instead, insiders claimed the company threw the factories under the bus, the very same factories they had relied on to meet insane global demand, factories that were only doing what they were told. When the luxury illusion began to shatter, the ripple effect hit Hollywood almost instantly. Within days of Megyn Kelly's expose, things got eerily quiet on the celebrity front. No new Louis Vuitton Instagram drops, no paparazzi shots of airport monogram luggage, not even a humble key pouch selfie. Kylie Jenner, usually one of Louis Vuitton's loudest brand ambassadors, suddenly switched gears. Fans noticed she'd been sporting vintage Dior, Balenciaga, even smaller off-label brands, but not a trace of LV. And Kylie doesn't make those choices lightly. She built an empire on being image perfect. If she's pulling back, there's a reason. Then came whispers about Kim Kardashian. Deeply tied to the brand, Kim had worn Louis Vuitton to court hearings, campaign shoots, even personal events. But according to Kelly's sources, her team was in panic mode behind the scenes, but it didn't stop with them. Top red carpet stylists reportedly started circulating an internal do not pull list, and at the top was Louis Vuitton. Dress your client in LV now, and you're not signaling elegance. You're waving a flag for controversy. No A-lister wants to walk into a Vanity Fair party wearing the brand that just got exposed for faking its French origins. Even Beyoncé's name surfaced. A now deleted tweet from an alleged insider claimed she was offered a custom LV gown for her Renaissance tour film premiere and turned it down. Her team reportedly gave the brand 54 hours to clarify their supply chain. When they didn't, the dress was scrapped. This wasn't just a PR problem. It became a reputational emergency, one that no serious publicist wanted their client near. Once the scandal hit social media, TikTok was flooded with videos calling out Louis Vuitton's shady practices, stitching side-by-side comparisons of luxury bags and factory clones. But it didn't stop there. A new viral trend blew up: the LVPG challenge, short for Louis Vuitton Purge Game. In video after video, influencers were tossing Louis Vuitton bags into trash cans, filming donation hauls, or publicly listing them for resale at rock-bottom prices. Some even cut up their monogram wallets on camera. Some of the voices leading the trend had millions of followers. For Gen Z, authenticity isn't about price tags, it's about proof. If you claim heritage, you better show it. If you promise craftsmanship, you better back it up with transparency. And if your bags are secretly made in the same factories as knockoffs, you're done.
Hermes, you guys, it's time to show off your factories. No, I don't want to wait to go on YouTube and watch a beautiful documentary on. Show them off right here on TikTok. Let the world see. Okay, get like China. You gotta be ghetto about it. Just let people know.
Louis Vuitton tried to stay silent. No public statement, no damage control, not even a vague acknowledgement of the swirling rumors. The silence spoke volumes. To Gen Z, silence is guilt. Even smaller creators joined the movement. Many had saved for months to afford a single piece, believing they were buying into elegance, status, art. Instead, they found out their dream bag came off an anonymous factory line, mass-produced and falsely labeled. The creators were exposing flaws, demanding refunds, and sharing receipts. What once was a symbol of status became a symbol of being duped. The downfall of Louis Vuitton wasn't just a brand crisis, it was a warning shot, because as the receipts surfaced, insiders began whispering something far worse. Louis Vuitton wasn't alone. Brands like Chanel, Prada, Balmain, all built on exclusivity and tradition, were allegedly caught in the same lies. Same factories, same misleading made in France or made in Italy labels, same strategy: sell the fantasy, hide the reality. Megyn Kelly didn't name names outright, but she dropped enough hints through the industry. According to her sources, several other luxury houses are already being watched. Whistleblowers from China's manufacturing world are stepping forward, armed with emails, contracts, shipping logs, and even voice memos. And they're not just talking to journalists, they're talking to lawyers, influencers, and independent creators, all ready to expose everything. Inside these brands, it's full panic mode. Legal departments are scrambling, crisis PR teams are working overtime, and behind closed doors, executives are ordering internal audits, not to fix anything, but to figure out what might might leak next. NDAs are being reinforced, hush money allegedly offered, and contingency plans drawn up in case their own names hit the headlines. The goal now is to stay invisible and don't get named, because once Gen Z gets wind of the next scandal, it spreads like wildfire. Once trust breaks, it doesn't come back. Even Fashion Week organizers are reportedly on edge. There's talk of last-minute designer swaps, emergency lineup changes, and secret briefings for stylists, anything to avoid connections with the scandals. The luxury market isn't just shaken, it's destabilized. One wrong move, and another empire could fall completely. If everything Megyn Kelly reported is true, then we're not just watching a scandal, we're witnessing the beginning of a fashion world collapse. According to her, Chinese manufacturers aren't done talking. In fact, they're just getting started. And a massive digital drop is allegedly coming with full-blown proofs. Voice memos from brand reps begging for rush orders, internal emails of secret bonuses, shady label swaps, and behind-the-scenes factory deals. And Kelly says at least 3 other luxury giants are already walking on thin ice. Some of them are fashion regulars, the kind of brands people wear like symbols of wealth, class, and cultural power. But if even a fraction of these leaks go public, the illusion will be shattered to its core. Because once the world sees how many of these brands rely on the same uncredited overseas factories and then charge $5,000 for the lie, there's no going back. The psychological damage could be worse than the financial hit. It forces consumers to confront an uncomfortable question. What have we actually been paying for all these years? The materials aren't rare. The labor isn't artisanal. The price tag isn't about quality. It's about marketing. Insiders say that some luxury brands are reportedly holding emergency rebranding sessions. Others are preparing public statements just in case. But the truth is, they're playing defense in a game they no longer control. Because the power has shifted. The factories have the proof. The consumers have the platforms. And the influencers, once the spread of the brand desire, are now demanding accountability. The next data dump could hit tonight or next week. But when it does, it won't just dent reputations. It could erase legacies. This isn't just about Louis Vuitton. It's about the collapse of an entire illusion, one that convinced millions to pay thousands for a fantasy and French ribbon. Now, that fantasy is unraveling. Whistleblowers are stepping into the spotlight. Stylists are blacklisting entire brands. And the factories once treated like ghosts are the ones holding the receipts that could take down the biggest names in fashion. Megyn Kelly called it the first domino. But what's coming next could become a full extinction. Because when the truth drops, and it will, the world won't just question Louis Vuitton. It'll question the entire meaning of luxury. And when that illusion finally breaks, there's no putting it back together.